started pottery when I was 26. It was the beginning of a big change in my life. After the first few times I went to the pottery course in my hometown, I knew I wanted to become a potter. After a year's practice at the course and at home, I left my office job and moved to England. First I worked some time in Winchcombe pottery, the origin of English studio pottery. Then I worked as a production thrower near London for a year. It was a good practice to develop my basic skills. Afterwards, I spent some months in Ireland in a studio pottery as a production potter, but then I moved back to Hungary, where I met my wife and we started to do our own pottery. First, I worked mostly for other potters, and slowly we started to develop our own style, which is a mixture of traditional Hungarian folk pottery and different Anglo-Saxon techniques. We are still in the beginning of this path, but having our first baby, we are very happy having chosen this way of free life. I think our family is much stronger now, living the potter way of life. My wife is the decorator and I am the potter, but she does much more. She supports me a lot. She has supported and encouraged me to do national pottery competitions. This is how funders of International Folk Art Market in Santa Fe had found my work and invited me to the market of 2018. It was also an honor that the International Folk Art Museum bought a piece from my works and put it on show. Here I am showing how I make a traditional piece like this, which is called a candle maker. Hungarian folk pottery has always been a peasantry culture. They didn't do it for the sake of merely art, they made pottery for the practical purposes. The pots were used in everyday life, and only some were ceremonial vessels made for special orders or for wedding ceremonies. The candle maker was used to melt wax in it above a fireplace and dipping the candle wick in it. For this purpose, they wanted to hang the pot. This is why there are 4 buttons around the rim. This type of pot is rectangular in shape and can be made in 2 different ways. When it is built from slabs, the whole pot becomes rectangular, while the other way is throwing the vessel and alter it afterwards. This is what we are showing here. The pot is thrown in 2 segments because of the big size. Before altering the shape, the bands are applied around the top and middle part as decorative elements. When the pot becomes leather hard, the handles are also attached and decorated with applied coils. The 2 larger sides of the pot are also decorated with applied figures. Flowers are commonly used in traditional Hungarian folk art, and they all have their own symbolic meanings. They represent, for example, love, family, life, and faith. This is an earthenware clay I use to make traditional folk pottery. It is from Hungary and is factory prepared for easier use and even quality. The Hungarian countryside is very rich in this material. Regions where earth was rich in clay, it was almost impossible to do agriculture as a way of living. But clay was perfect to make different types of vessels: cooking pots, storing jars, bottles, bowls and plates. So in some villages the whole population became potters, supplying the surrounding regions with pots while they got crops in exchange. Electric wheels are very commonly used in Hungary, although almost every potter knows how to make a pot on the old-style Hungarian kick wheel. It is important to keep in mind where we come from. Traditional Hungarian pottery was fired in simple wood fire kilns around 1000 Celsius degrees. Glazing was simple and only practical, mostly inside and around the rim and handle of the pots. Fully glazed items were unique pieces, more expensive, mostly made for orders and special occasions. Nowadays, electric kiln is commonly used instead. It gives an even firing, clear surface for the finished piece, which are also common requirements by the local customers. In the past few decades, high fire techniques, use of stoneware clays are becoming more and more popular, which helps developing better quality handmade pottery in our country that can be used in the modern homes of today. But it is also very important to keep the traditions alive and use them as roots. Roots that give support and nurture the growing shoots of our present-day pottery culture.